Hey everybody, this is Devin. A friend of mine on Twitter mentioned me the other day and asked if I was ever going to do a video about writing Git commit messages. It wasn't on my content calendar, but it was a great idea, so here we are. He recommended a really great blog post by this guy, Chris Beams, that has a lot of excellent guidelines for how to write a good commit message. In fact, it made me realize that I don't write very good commit messages. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to write commit messages better than those you've written in the past and better than my commit messages. And we're going to do that by evaluating some of my old commit messages. Let's go to the computer. This is a project I apparently last worked on 8 years ago. It's called bulk image resize. This is a Python script that will resize all the images in a directory. We are looking at one of my earliest commits on that project from March 6th, 2013. The commit subject is added main function, comma, refactoring of resize, comma, added width and height. And then I believe options is also maybe part of the subject. Let's review this commit message based on some of our criteria, and I'm also going to throw in some of my own criteria here. The first criteria is to separate the subject line from the body. I don't think there is a body on this particular commit, and there probably should have been, because now that I'm looking at this, I don't know exactly why I did what I did, and that's what the body would ideally tell me. Another thing I want to mention that's really important and is not one of the criteria, but should be one of your criteria, not for messages, but for actual commits. This one's doing like 3 different things. That's why there are these 2 commas separating these 3 different descriptions of what's happening here. I don't think the commit should really do that. Each one of these should probably be their own commit. That way they can have their own message and body with a description of what that thing is, why that change was made. And now, 8 years later, you can tell how that makes this a little bit harder to parse. Limit the subject line to 50 characters. I'm not going to count them out here, but I'm relatively certain I did not do that. And some of the reasons are silly too, like what I mentioned before, having multiple changes happening in this single commit. I'm not sure why I thought I needed these parentheses after the function name. There's definitely a lot in here that could be cut out to get that down to the 50 character limit. If I were going to do this again, just splitting this into the 3 commits and splitting the subject into those 3 subjects would satisfy this guideline. Our third criteria is capitalize the subject line, and that one I did. Along those same lines, one of the later criteria is not to end with a period, which I also avoided. The 5th criteria is to use the imperative mood. Just state it as an imperative sentence, as a command. That I have not done, and I've swapped that out for something way worse. I've used different tenses in the 3 different subjects that are in this single commit. This first one is past tense, added, then I've got refactoring, that's happening now, and then I've got added again. So I'm just sort of oscillating between different tenses. Not a good look. It doesn't add anything to the subject. That could definitely use some improvement. In order to fix this, I would take my 3 commits, this is now split into 3 commits in this alternate dimension, and I would make the subjects add main function, refactor resize, and then the last one would be add width and height to use the imperative mood. The next 2 don't really apply here. The 6th criteria is to wrap the body at 72 characters. We don't have a body, so I didn't wrap it at 72 characters, but also I did not wrap it at 72 characters, so I count that as a win. The last criteria, the body should tell what and why, and here no body tells us nothing at all. One thing the blog post notes that is the source of these criteria is that you don't always need a body. So you could have a commit with no body that would be perfectly fine. I don't think this is one of those. Now we fast forward a few years to a commit on May 28th, 2018. This is my RadWorks site. This is the site I set up for my consultancy. And the commit we're looking at is tweaks font sizes for mobile. Already, this is much better than that other commit in that it only does one thing. Our first criteria, separate the subject line from the body. It's not clear to me if I've done that or not. I'm not sure how GitHub formats that. I went over to some more recent commits where I'm pretty sure I have been leaving a blank line, and it still looks just like this. So I think there may not be a way to tell inside GitHub whether we have done that or not. I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt and say I probably did it here. Limit the subject line to 50 characters. I'm pretty sure this one fits within that limit, but let me confirm. That is 28 characters according to this character count tool. So we're good. Capitalize the subject line is the third criteria, which I have done. No period at the end of the subject line is the fourth, which I've also done. Use the imperative mood I have not done. I could fix that here just by saying tweak font sizes for mobile instead. The tip I saw in the blog post said, complete the sentence, if applied, this change will, blank, and that would work in this case. If applied, this change will tweak font sizes for mobile. I might also change the word tweak because I think that's a little ambiguous. In this case, we could say reduces font sizes for mobile, and I think that would be a great improvement. Our next criteria is to wrap the body at 72 characters. This one doesn't have 72 characters, so I didn't get quite far enough to have to do that wrapping. Use the body to explain what and why is our final criteria, and I think I have done that here. Some people might not like this style. I've sort of continued the sentence I started in the subject, but I like it here. I think it reads clearly, and I don't have a lot to say, just a little bit to give some context. If I had more to say, I might not do it this way, or I might end this with a period and then continue on. But at any rate, I'm calling this a success on that metric. Let's jump forward a little bit further to April 30th of this year, 2020. First criteria, separate the subject line from the body with a blank line. Again, I don't think GitHub displays this blank line, so I'm going to say I did that here. Limit the subject line to 50 characters. We have a very short subject line here, so I think we're good. And then the next two criteria, capitalize the first letter and don't end with a period. We have both of those. Use the imperative mood, which I did not do. You could do that pretty easily here by changing added a word to add a word. In my defense on this one, I think this was a demonstration, and I think I may have been instructed to do this as part of this Get It workshop, but I didn't meet the criteria. Wrap the body at 72 characters. I am relatively sure this line goes well beyond 72 characters, so that's a no. Use the body to explain what and why is the final criteria. Does it count if the body says we're not sure why yet? I think that counts.
Whew, that was painful. Don't do what I did. Follow the 7 tenets in the blog post for better commit messages. And just to reiterate those, they are: separate your subject line from your body with a blank line, limit your subject line to 50 characters, capitalize the subject line, don't end the subject line with a period, use the imperative mood for your subject lines, so as if you're giving someone a command. Wrap the lines of your body at 72 characters, and use the body to explain what and why instead of how. That's all for this one. Be sure to like and subscribe if you liked this and you want more stuff like it. Send all the wonderful signals to our YouTube algorithm overlords, and I will talk to you in the next one.